Good evening, everyone. It's Christopher Hale here in Rutherford County. I'm honored to have tonight Chase Clemons, who, in a matter of 5 months from tonight, will be elected my and your state senator. Chase is a great young man. He is from Lincoln County originally, and also a Tennessean by birth and now by choice. Chase is running against State Senator Shane Reeves. Shane is a very wealthy man from a wealthy family here in Rutherford County. He's gone to Nashville. He's never coming back. He's dedicated his time in public service to the wealthy, the well-off, those with silver spoons in their mouth. And Chase is fighting hard for working families like yours and mine. Very briefly, before we go to Chase, I just want to say that I need your support in my own campaign for the United States Congress against Scott Desjardins. Congressman Desjardins has gotten rich in Washington. He's made $1.7 million in a decade in the swamp, and all we got was a lousy post office renamed. He got rich, we got sick. The virus came for our lives and our livelihoods, and Scott Desjardins did nothing to stop it. And now that it's here, he voted no on free virus testing, no on the small business stimulus, no on paid sick leave. So he's doing nothing to help us. So I need your support. Go to ChristopherHale.com and chip in $5 today. This doesn't feed me, it feeds our movement. And if you're going to vote for me, text Hell Yes to 31996. That's Hell Yes to 31996 so that I know you're with me and that we can help you get your constitutional rights to vote in August and in November. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Chase Clemons. Chase, can you hear me?
Hey, how are you, Chris?
Doing well. Chase, give our audience, and Chase, tell us a little bit about yourself. But if you don't mind, just because the district maps can get confusing, can you tell us where you're going to be the next state senator and a little bit about yourself too?
Yeah, so the district maps, especially down here, are a little gerrymandered. But if you're in Bedford, Lincoln, Marshall, Moore, or the eastern half of Rutherford County, you're in the 14th district. You're going to see my name on the ballot come August and then again in November as we run against Shane Reeves. For folks that have never met me before or heard about me, I am a fifth generation Tennessean, like Chris mentioned. I grew up here. We're on a family farm here in Lincoln County. If you've seen me online, you've probably seen me with my wife, Heather, or my two kids, Elliot and Margot. And yeah, like I mentioned, I grew up here. This is my community. This is the community that my grandparents have been in, my parents have been in. Small, just family farm here in southern middle Tennessee. I went to college up at MTSU, so kind of like a lot of us, I thought I wanted to get out of hometown and go see the bigger world. And then as I was up there in at MTSU, I just realized, my hometown has given a lot to me. It gave a lot to my family. So it felt only right to come back home and to invest back here and put my time and energy and money and everything else, my life back into the community here. So that's exactly what I did. I moved back. I got hired by a tech company named Basecamp. I get to work with all sorts of small businesses every day and help them as they figure out how they grow. And yeah, a couple of months ago, decided that I just was sick and tired of not having a state senator that actually cared about me or my family or my community at the end of the day. So I threw my hat in the ring, and yeah, we're going to win this thing and win this district come November.
One of the interesting things, Chase, that I think that plays out in this community is that Shane Reeves lives here in Rutherford County. He lives in the wealthy part of Rutherford County. And the way this district is gerrymandered, you kind of have the well-off and everyone else. And I think that Shane does a good job representing the rich folks here in Murfreesboro who make good money. He himself is a very wealthy man. But I want to talk with you. What are the biggest issues facing working men, working women in Lincoln County, in Bedford County, and Marshall County, in the counties that oftentimes get ignored by our current state senator, and that what you and I hope to fight for this upcoming year?
Yeah, biggest thing, the thing that keeps everybody up at night, the thing that all of us are really worried about at the end of the day is healthcare. Am I going to be able to take care of myself or my family or my friends or neighbors if I get sick? It's, you've got this, the great line that I've heard before about the pandemic has made the invisible visible, and we've seen it day in and day out here in Lincoln County and Bedford, Marshall, Moore, and even in Rutherford County. People are afraid that if they get sick, whether it's with this virus or anything else, or if they get hurt at work, or if they find themselves in need of a doctor, that they're not going to have access to it, and they're not going to have the money to pay for it. So here in Lincoln County, we've got a hospital that's a little unique compared to a lot of towns. It's a nonprofit one. It's actually run by the county here. That means that we don't have a lot of the levers to pull that a big for-profit hospital might have. So when we're looking at our hospital, we have to constantly be thinking about not how we're going to thrive or how we're going to grow or anything else. It's literally how are we going to survive with this hospital? Because if this hospital goes, that's it. That's a death sentence for a community like ours. That's a death spiral waiting to happen. And I think, based on their words, that the Republicans in leadership and Shane Reeves and the rest of them kind of understand that. Governor Lee gave $10 million into hospitals like ours. But at the end of the day, the thing is, that's just a drop in the bucket of what our hospitals really need. We're sitting on $3.8 million a day that could be coming back into our state. Money that's our tax money, our federal tax dollars that have been sent up to Washington, up to the IRS, and that's then going to other states. And while I'm glad that other states are able to get some of that money and keep their hospitals afloat, we need that here in our district. We need it here in our state, because in the last decade, we've seen over a dozen hospitals like ours here in Lincoln County close. We've seen 17 counties right now that don't even have an emergency room. So when I'm out on the farm, or I'm talking with my neighbors, or I'm out with family, all I can think about is, what if one of us gets hurt? What if when we're out cutting hay, what if somebody falls and gets hurt or cut or anything like that? If our hospital isn't here, then it's an hour's drive to the next closest one. And that is just something that, that idea that the ambulance might be your emergency room for an hour or more as it's making its way over some of these back country roads, 2 lanes up and down and curves and everything else, that's something that keeps everybody I've been talking to up at night. So when we talk about the biggest issue that our community is worried about, the biggest priority that my campaign has right now, it's making sure that if you get hurt, or if your family or friends or neighbors gets hurt, you've got a hospital right there that not only you can get to quickly, but when you get there and you get the help that you need, it's not going to bankrupt you into medical debt oblivion. That's the big thing here. And like I said, Tennessee has an easy answer on this one. Come November, you put me up at the state Senate. It's the easiest vote that I'm going to take all year. It's called expanding Medicaid. Expanding Medicaid is a wonky term. I totally get that. But basically what it means is we're going to bring $3.8 million a day. That's $1.4 billion a year back into our communities, back into our healthcare system, back into our rural hospitals, and put that money to use. That's thousands of jobs. That's thousands of jobs that's going to come back. That's so much money that's going to be invested back into the local communities to make sure our hospitals stay afloat and that you've got access to the doctor that you need when you need it. Easiest vote any state senator should be able to take. But right now, Senator Reeves and the rest of the GOP leadership up there, they just either they don't get it or they don't care. That's what it's at right now. They either don't understand how powerful this money could be to our communities, or they just don't care what happens to you and me. And if for all the that we say about our senators, I tend to think at least some of them are pretty smart. So I think it's more that they just don't care.
Let's talk about not caring. I mean, Shane Reeves is one of the biggest pharmaceutical execs in the state of Tennessee. I mean, he made his money off our grannies meds and distributing those meds. What's remarkable about it is I think that Shane Reeves does not like the margins he gets from government health care. I think he likes with private insurance, he can control the game more, he can jack up the prices, and he can line his pockets. Literally, if you look at Shane Reeves' background, he's the lobbyist that screws over our families. That he literally has become the lobbyist politician that we so deeply hate. I mean, a lot of Shane Reeves' back pocket, I would argue, has been screwing over elderly Tennesseans and folks in lower income classes with prescription drug prices. And what you said, I think it's actually even more clear. I think that you support healthcare and Shane Reeves does not. Shane Reeves supports his own pockets, his own wealth, his own family, but I don't think he's supporting the folks of this community. And I think that, Chase, one of the things I would like to kind of understand about you is what is one of the things that is intriguing to me is you have chosen you're a millennial, as a young man, the rural way of life. And what's remarkable about it is we know that, as we talked about, healthcare is a necessity in the rural way of life. Most farmers are not on a insurance plan. They go through some kind of government subsidized program or the exchange, what we call Obamacare, et cetera. They can't go through employer-based healthcare. Medicaid tries to fix that. But one of the things that's interesting, at the federal level, we talked about expanding towards single payer. I do think it's got to be the end goal. But I want to talk to you about how we can maintain the rural way of life. And it's interesting to me because it seems that the Republicans always use this. And Shane Reeves is not from rural Tennessee. That's a load of crap. He's from a wealthy suburb of Nashville. So I don't, let that be what it may. But it seems to me that to protect the rural way of life, the Republicans say, get government out. The government can't play any role whatsoever. But we know that government is one of the biggest investors in rural Tennessee. So I want to talk about like your particular circumstance. You had the only way, is it fair to say that your pathway forward to existing in rural Tennessee was vis-a-vis an economy that allows you to work remotely?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's one of those where, look, I can do my job from literally anywhere in the world, and I have. I've been on the farm, out in the middle of the field, and have to check something real quick. And because I have internet access there, I'm able to do that. And that's one of those where when you have that kind of flexibility, you could choose to live anywhere else, but I choose to live here because this is, again, way of life for me. This is the community for me. I grew up here. It's important.
Well, and what's remarkable about it is you chose it, but now so many people are making that proactive choice. Rupa Blackwell from Tullahoma, she also had the same story of going afar and coming back. Me in Rutherford County, I went east and north and came back. But as we come back, as we make roots here at home, one of the things that I want to understand is, and I let's see your perspective on. It seems to me that a lot of the Republican worldview is about destroying the rural way of life. And one of the ways I see that is education. Can we talk a little bit about education in Lincoln County and the particular assaults on that have happened from Nashville-based legislatures like Shane Reeves? What's going on there?
Yeah, so it's all about making sure that our teachers get paid. So before the pandemic started, back when the legislature first came into session, there was promises of, oh, we love our teachers. We think they're doing a great job. We're going to give them a 4% raise, right? 4% raise. Didn't happen. Isn't going to happen. They broke that promise there. And for me, it's really simple. It's our teachers and our educators and our school faculty and everybody from the bus driver down to the cafeteria worker, down to everybody that's working in that school system has stepped up to the plate and knocked it out of the park lately. They have had such a challenging environment to not only teach in this pandemic, but also just make sure their kids have what they need. Make sure that our kids have the food that they need. Make sure that our kids have the just basic things that they need. You never think about how much of that basic structure that our educators are making sure is in place until you have a pandemic and you hear stories of kids who just don't have food unless they're passing out food at school. And for me, it's, again, really, really simple. We need to keep our promise to our teachers and our educators, and we need to first give them a raise, because right now, a teacher, when you adjust for inflation, a teacher is making less now than they were a decade ago. That is absolutely wild to me. These are some of the cornerstones of our communities. These are the professionals that we are entrusting with making sure that our students are set up for success in life and making sure that they're going to be here in our community to give back into it, just like I have. I mean, they're making less now than they were a decade ago. That is wild, and we need to fix it, and we need to keep our promise, and we need to pay our teachers. It's really, really that simple. When you look at everything else with public schools, here's what's going on. We talk about public vouchers, we talk about private schooling, we talk about how schools should be funded and everything else. Here's the thing. Republicans love their wealthy and well-connected friends. Those
Mm-hmm.
wealthy and well-connected friends own for-profit hospitals. They own for-profit schools. They own for-profit internet companies. That's the folks that they're looking out for. So when we look into public vouchers, for instance, they're just trying to get that money away from our public schools, our cornerstones of our communities, over into the pockets of the wealthy and well-connected friends that they have. It's Chris, it's that simple. It's all it is it's not even a well-hidden Ponzi scheme. It's literally just robbing us over here to pay off their friends over there. That's it, end of the day.
Well, and it's remarkable to me. I want to go on that voucher bill in particular. I want people to understand the details behind that. So, Lincoln County High School. Are you an alum of Lincoln County?
Yeah, 2004. Go
Okay,
Falcons.
well, there you go. Are y'all the Falcons? Did I get it right?
Yeah, Falcons.
Okay, I played y'all in sports. I think y'all beat me a few times. But so Lincoln County High School, which I hope a lot of people listening have, I'm sure they have ties to. Under Shane Reeves's worldview, under Shane Reeves's plan, we're going to take funding away from the students and the faculty and the staff at Lincoln County High School and give it, make a handout to MBA, Montgomery Bell Academy, the Mama Boys Academy, the rich Academy of Nashville. They're making money off the voucher bill, millions. And Lincoln County is getting cuts. I mean, and you think about how remarkable that is. We are taking away the pathway. Look, Chase is a very successful dad, a successful businessman, a successful citizen. And how much does that have to do with Lincoln County High School? Like, you are a product of public education. I'm a product of public education. There is no pathway forward for our rural communities and for prospering for our posterity without public education. And Shane Reeves and Scott Desjardins and the Republican Party, they've said no. We don't believe in public education. We want to give money to the private institutions. I want to kind of go on that too, on the idea of investing in our posterity. One of the things that I've been intrigued about going forward for Tennessee is it seems that the Republican Party has one policy objective. If I had to say Shane Reeves and Scott Desjardins' number one policy agenda, it's to get rid of the 20th century. They want to get rid of everything from Social Security to Medicare, Medicaid, civil rights, labor rights, the things that built our communities. One of the things that they're also doing within that is the idea that they want to restrict our ability to vote. We know that this COVID-19 disproportionately affects the elderly community. According to state law, my parents are 65 and 67. I'm not sure how old your parents are, if they fall with that threshold or not. But my parents, they're of that age, but they cannot be eligible to vote by mail unless they have an excuse. According to the Republican Party, the greatest health emergency in human history is not an excuse. Can you talk a little bit about that issue and what your belief is on who should be able to vote in November, how we do that?
Yeah, let's take a look at what Tennessee qualifies as a valid excuse, a valid reason for absentee voting, right? 65 or older. If you're a truck driver and you're going to be out of the county on election day, if you have a doctor's note, if you're like we are running for elected office, right? If you are in the military or if you're a Tennessean overseas, these are all just one of the dozen or so reasons that you can qualify for absentee voting. And that's the biggest thing that just is infuriating on this whole prospect, right? So right now, the state of Tennessee is planning for all of the registered seniors that are 65 and older. They're planning for all of them to vote absentee by mail. So it works out to a little over a million folks on that. The system and infrastructure is already in place. We know it's safe. We know it's secure. We know it works because we've used it time and time and time again here in Tennessee. We've used it for folks like me and you who are running for office. We've used it for our military folks. We've used it for even down to truck drivers like we were talking about. There's no good argument that this is not a safe and secure system because it's the one that we use every single election right here in Tennessee. So, keeping all that in mind, when it comes to this election, we saw today in the state house that the Republicans were just accusing Democrats of using this as a way to stuff ballot boxes and steal votes and everything else, right? They didn't tell you that, again, this is the same system we have been using. This is the same safe and secure system that we have been talking about. They focused on making it a partisan issue about Democrats trying to steal votes, when in reality, all we want is for a person to be able to exercise their constitutionally protected right to vote and not get sick from doing so. We saw what happened in Wisconsin. We saw what has happened in other places where you go out in a pandemic, you're going to end up with, first, long lines out the wazoo, and second, people running the risk of getting sick. And I shouldn't have to choose between casting a vote and getting sick. It's that simple. Again, at the end of the day, we talk about the decisions that our state legislatures are looking at every day, and some of them are tough decisions. When we're looking at the budget right now, they're going to have to make some tough cuts and figure out how to make this all work in the middle of a pandemic. But when it comes to things like, again, expanding Medicaid, easy vote. Expanding the right to vote absentee by mail, easy vote. And even though it's shot down right now in the state Senate and the state House, Governor Lee still has that option if he wants to. So for everybody watching tonight, I would absolutely encourage you to call and write and email and blow his phone up, because he can step in and say, we're in a state of emergency. We have a legitimate fear of getting sick from this virus. And because of that, we're going to add that as a qualified excuse for voting absentee by mail. Everything, Chris, everything's in place, right? Safe, secure, it's in place. There's no reason why we should not be able to do this fall.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the idea that this disproportionately helps Democrats is a load of malarkey, to quote the next president of the United States. A few questions on there. Actually, my mother wanted you to know, Chase, that she's a very young, 65, actually. So
I was going to say, I saw her the other day when she was picking up signs, and I was like, I think you're wrong on that age.
Yeah, well, you honestly just earned points with her. She'll probably call you for that. I have a pretty good question. This is from Twitter. It looks like Lori D. Did I pronounce that right? She said, and this is actually about Medicaid. Where does that money come from? And I want to take the first part, and then I kind of let you finish. Lori, it's already paid for. You paid it. It's free money on the table. What's happening right now? I'm a very wealthy man with a $1 bill. Literally, the Republican Party takes this $1 bill, and how many of them? How many is it per year? 1.3 billion $1 bills.
1.4.
Okay, so imagine $1.4 billion bills. I don't think I can rip this because I feel like, is that a crime? I think it's a federal crime. Probably. So, Lori, I'm not going to rip it. I'm going to destroy it. You've already paid the money. The Republican Party is Shane Reeves so badly wants to screw you over, Lori. Scott Desjardins so badly wants you not to have health care. I don't want to commit a federal crime. I'll find out later if it is. They're going to rip this up 1.4 billion times for you to not have health care. We've already paid for it. It's paid for. So the money comes from, really what's happening is, one thing I'll note on this is, if Chase is uninsured and he goes to the local hospital, which is partially state and county subsidized, someone's going to pay the bill. If he doesn't pay it, we're eventually going to pay for it. So we're actually paying more money by not having people insured. So yeah, exactly. So it comes back to you. Promise you, you're going to pay for Chase's healthcare if he doesn't have it some way. And Laura, do you want to take anything more on that, Chase?
Yeah, here's the thing. It's like you said, it's our tax money already paid in. Right now, it's going over to other states, other red conservative controlled states like Arkansas. Arkansas has seen the light on this and chosen to expand Medicaid. And you know that when Arkansas is ahead of you, like, what, geez, Tennessee, what are we doing here? What are we doing? But $3.8 million a day, $1.4 billion a year, paid for, already sitting there. If only we say yes, we want that back. So yeah, it's the money's not coming from anywhere but our pockets already.
Absolutely. And there's one more. Did you want to? So there's a few of these on this, but would you want to talk a little bit about the George Floyd situation and the situation? One of the things that I think is important for folks to understand is that I think one of the biggest, most annoying pieces of lies out there is that there are no people of color in rural communities. That's especially white straight guys in rural communities, but there's significant rural African American population. Do you have anything you want to say in particular to Black Tennesseans about racial justice and policies that you'll pursue in the state Senate?
Yeah, so rural Tennessee is one of those where a lot of us are learning through this. A lot of us are trying to be allies to the Black community in this. A lot of us are doing what I'm doing is just trying to use the platform that I have and amplify Black voices in the midst of all this. Because look, white guys like Christopher and I, we have had plenty of time to let people know what we think and what our values are and things like that. That's why right now it's important to amplify those voices and be an ally to the Black community and really just step up. You know, I was listening to an interview with Bernice King earlier, and she said, look, there's a lot of ways that you can get involved. It's going to be marching, it's going to be protesting, it's going to be writing letters, it's going to be organizing and registering to vote and doing all these things. The thing you cannot do at this moment is sit out. The thing you cannot do is opt out. And I think right now, when you look at our state leadership, especially on the, not especially, only on the Republican side, they're opting out. Doesn't matter if we're talking about the marches and the protests in Nashville, if we're talking about the discussions that's being had here in rural Tennessee, they're opting out. I saw a video on Twitter the other night of our Republican Democratic caucus stepping down to the protest and talking and listening and protesting with them. And at the same time, the Republicans were trying to figure out where a bus was that could take them back to their hotel and just going to ease out a side door and that kind of thing. So yeah, for me personally, when it comes to rural communities, the best thing that I can do is amplify the voices that are historically drowned out down here and choose not to opt out on any of this. There's no more sitting on the sidelines on this right now. I think we're going to see more protests and more marches going forward. But I think, just to echo what some of Barack Obama said this afternoon in the live stream that he did, this is a moment of seismic opportunity. This is a moment where we're going to be able to break through on some of these things. I mean, I've talked to family members who did not in any way, shape, or form support any kind of anything related to the Black Lives Matter movement before this week. And now they've been burning up my phone and email asking, okay, what do we do? What next? What can we do to get involved and to help out on this stuff? So I think we're going to see some really great movement come out of rural Tennessee, because folks are starting to realize that, yeah, this is systemic racism, and it's got to go at this point. At the end of the day, you know, we're all here, a lot of us, you know, not anywhere near as wealthy as our Republican leadership, just trying to make it through in rural Tennessee, trying to make sure that we've got the healthcare that we need and the opportunities that we need and the schooling that we need, and that a lot of us are going to be allies in this. So yeah, for the folks that are asking those questions, Chris, hopefully that helps out, at least from where I'm coming from.
Well, I think you nailed a lot of different points, but I think one of the things too, I think during this time of COVID-19, we know that the corporations are going to do fine. Walmart's going to make it; they're going to be fine. The chain restaurants are going to make it. But one of the things I think I like to highlight right now is that what we're doing during my campaign for the United States Senate is lifting up organizations and businesses in our community that need our support. Ken Folk's Barbecue is a wonderful soul food barbecue restaurant here in Rutherford County, in both Chase and I district, where our future constituents will live. It's a wonderful venue. I went there for food just recently this week. It's Black owned, and they could use our support during these really tough times. Small businesses are the lifeblood of our community. So I hope that you will consider supporting Ken Folk's Barbecue this upcoming week. They would love to see you there, and tell them we sent you, will you? Chase, we're coming to the end here. I have a question. When you take that sacred oath of office in January of 2021, can I come?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as I get an invite for yours.
Yes. Well, you will be there because I will be your constituent. You will be my constituent. But I think what every Tennessean should know is that we're going to fight like hell. Chase Clemons and Chris Hell are going to fight like hell for you and your families every day. Our two opponents, they have a lot in common. They're wealthy guys who made their money off poor Tennesseans, off government checks from Medicaid and Medicare. They went to Washington, one went to Nashville. They continue collecting those government checks, but they actually fundamentally will do anything to stop good governance to help our communities. They got rich, we got sick. We're paying the cost, and Chase and I are going to beat these guys. We're going to win some historic elections, and we're going to fight like hell for Tennessee families. Chase, thanks for having me on. Thank you for being here.
Thanks. Thanks for the offer.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That was Chase Clemons. He is a state candidate for, a Senate candidate for District 14. I want to talk to you a little bit in specifics about my campaign for the United States Congress. We had our first in-person event yesterday. Folks, our campaign is taking off in this community. Everywhere you go, people are feeling the energy, the urgency, the timeliness of this race. They know what you and I know in our hearts, and what we're going to see in reality is that we're going to win this election. We're going to win this election because Tennesseans are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Congressman Desjardins has been in the swamp for a decade. And I want to ask a question for you. Is life better for you and your family than it was a decade ago? Is it easier to go to the store and buy items for yourself and for your kids? Do you feel secure about your children's future as you did 10 years ago? Is Tennessee, is America as respected in this country and in the world as it was 10 years ago? If your answer is yes, Scott Desjardins is your man. He has spent his career getting rich, screwing over our families, fighting for healthcare executives who in their very livelihood make sure that we get poor and we get sick. But maybe that's your man. But if you're not happy with the direction of this country, if you're not happy that 1 in 3 Tennesseans are out of work, if you're not happy that 400,000 Tennesseans don't have health care and it rises more each month, if you're not happy that your wages are lower than they were a decade ago if you have a job, then I'm the one you're looking for. I'm going to win this election. I'm going to bring generational change to Tennessee and America, and I'm going to fight like hell for you and your families in the United States Congress. But you know what? I need you. You can't just watch this. You got to get involved. I need your support. If you can, go to ChristopherHale.com. Get involved in our campaign. You sign up to volunteer tonight. We have a place for you tomorrow. We are ready to roll, and we're rolling across this state. But we need your support financially. If you can give $5 a month, it doesn't go to feed me. It goes to feed this movement across the state of Tennessee. We are going to win this election because of you, not because of me. If you are with us, text hell yes to 31996. That's hell yes to 31996. We can get you signs on our website, and through the text, we can get you ready to be soldiers in this cause to win this election, to beat Dr. Desjardins, and to create a new way forward where every child in this state is heard, seen, and loved. I'll see you tomorrow night. God bless you, and God protect our troops. Good night.